Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada. Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Sadguru Bhyo Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 26th of February 2025. Today is Mahashivratri day here in the US. We are starting our puja today at 4 p.m. and it will go until 7 a.m. tomorrow. So it is a good, many hours all the way through, 12 plus hours, about 14 hours probably. It will go all the way straight through. So we have a lot of, wonderful program to look forward to. It is a real blessing to be able to do all this, actually. We have several people coming here for the Puja Narshan. And the main point is that we want to connect with the divinity. This is supposed to be based on the cosmic cycles and the position of the moon and the timing and whatnot. It is a time to connect with that ultimate reality. That is Brahman. That's what we have been talking about every single day. Shiva is Brahman only. It's nothing different. So that connection is what we are looking for. So I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Bhagavan, residing in the heart of all beings. Today I want to talk about, Bhagavan Shankar today again because of Mahashivratri and all. What is common is that the third eye, Trinetra, which is located on the forehead, the third eye represents wisdom, insight, and ability to see beyond the material world. Is there really like a third eye? Is there really like an actual eye like that? Or is it just symbolic? No, there actually is. There is a divine chakshu, divya chakshu. When people do meditation on Om Namah Shivaya mantra, it is possible, or sometimes it happens, it can happen that the divine eye can appear in meditation. You see, so these are not just symbols as many people think they are. It's not like that. It's much more than that. So wo divya tattva hai. There actually is Bhagavan Shankar in the abode of Kailasa. It's not some imaginary, just hypothetical, whimsical, mythological thing. It's not like that. If you want to see that abode, want to actually go there, want to actually have darshan of Bhagavan Shankar, then one has to connect with Shiv Tattva through mantras, stotras, shastras, Guru Krupa, Vedanta study, etc. Then one can see. Otherwise, one can just study based on symbolism and mythology and stories and whatnot, and just at that level only. But that's fine for universities and whatnot. But for people who are doing sadhana, who want to actually realize that tattva, that's a different matter. It's a matter of connecting with that supreme reality through the mantras. So there's a lot of emphasis on mantra and stotra in the Shiv Upasana. Why is that? Because the Shiv Upasana is the most ancient Upasana in the whole sansar. Very, very old. So the mantra sadhana that is done, mantra sadhana is to be done consistently. This is where the trouble begins for most people doing sadhana. If it is not done consistently, there's a breakage that keeps happening inside our system. So the consistent sadhana is the key. Even if, let's say, someone says we want to do 3 rounds of the Namah Shivaya mantra daily, can it be done daily without any break for 6 months at the same time, facing east or north, or even northeast is okay, I guess. Anything in between north and east is also all right. Can it be done consistently? So the consistency of sadhana, it builds the antakarana it tunes the antakarana into the tattva that is within the mantra. There is the tattva, that is the Shiv tattva, that is within the mantra Om Namah Shivaya. So this mantra is a Maha mantra, and it can be done by everybody. Everybody should do this mantra. Everybody can do this mantra. It is a very powerful, stabilizing, and beautiful mantra, but it's a matter of sadhana. It's a matter of sadhana. So what does the mantra do? It awakens within us all the chakras, all these 9 chakras. Navachakrangaya Namaha, one of the names of Bhagwan Shiv, awakens all 9 chakras. You don't have to worry about awakening them one by one by one. That's another prakriya. Wo bhi ek prakriya hai to try to do that. But if one stays with just one mantra, like Namah Shivaya, just this one mantra, that is enough actually. You really don't need anything else. It's a matter of getting to that point where the mantra becomes siddha. Mantra siddha ho jata hai. Right? So that's why people increase the repetitions. You start with 1 mala and then increase to 2, 3, like this, and then keep increasing. And then their anushtans are done at times, where 51,000 rounds or 51,000 times it is spoken. It's the repetition is the key in mantra sadhana. Why? Because the mind needs to be absorbed inside that higher frequency. That is why. When the mind is absorbed in the higher frequency, then when we settle back down into our normal day-to-day routine, day-to-day activity, wisdom, insight, and the capacity to see beyond the material world awakens. Wisdom awakens, jnanam awakens. So we live in, the sadhak lives inside the sansar. But the sansar and its disturbances are not living inside that individual. So that is the jnana mudra. So the jnana mudra, the mudras that are hand mudras that are done, they are done as sadhana, and they are also a representation, or no, it's not just a representation, it's an actual, like this mudra may happen naturally. It is representing sthiti, it is state of realization. Both are realized in this. So wisdom, insight into what? Insight into the nature of bondage and insight into the path towards liberation. And then, of course, living in the world of the 3 gunas of Maya as they are, interacting with all in their right way, but never getting trapped inside the world of Maya. So that ability comes about with the perception to see beyond the material world. So mystical experiences may happen. And they do happen. If one advances in sadhana, the breakage out of the bondages of the Jagrat Avastha, Swapna, and Sushupti Avastha, the sadhak gets glimpses of what is beyond these 3. So, as I mentioned before, at nighttime, the Swapna Avastha diminishes and all divine experiences come. Divya Anubhav. Who doesn't want that in life? Isn't that beautiful? Who wouldn't want it? Although alaukik baat is not part of our mental framework. But when a sadhak is developing inside towards the siddha state, sadhak is what we are. We are doing sadhana. See, sadhak meaning one who is not a siddha yet. One who is an aspirant, spiritual aspirant, one who's aspiring, practicing, doing all kinds of sadhanas. So there's sadhak, sadhana, is the process to go through. And Siddha. Siddha is one who has realized the end point of that sadhana. And by grace, by Paramatma ki krupa se, that Siddha state is there, is completely steady, very, very awakened. Isme siddhi bhi bahut asakti hai. There are siddhis of all different kinds that can come, that are described. So those things may happen. If they do happen, that's fine, by the divine will, for some purpose. So there are so many siddhis. So many siddhis can come about. Siddhi is what, after all? It is a way to manipulate the material world and to see what is going on in the material world. But there's also that ability to see the abodes of God, Bhagwan ke dham. Those things are there. These are all samadhi states and higher states. They are there. But that all opens up once there is full realization of the mantra. The mantra opens, its capacity completely. Then the Tattva actually comes to us. The actual Shiv Tattva, in this case of Namah Shivaya mantra, will actually be available in our realization. वो सब अलौकिक divine experiences hai. They're not part of this world. For example, when we put this vibhuti, right? We put this vibhuti on our forehead. Or all the Shiv puja that is done, all the different mantras that are done, the lingam is there. But in the divine state, all of those things are there in a different way. That's why those rituals were created. Because the rishis had seen what is actually there and they tried to recreate it here as an access point. So there are the Bhairavas, the Ashta Bhairavas, the 64 Bhairavas. So many different guardians are there of the Kaila. It's bahut kuch bhai, but we cannot imagine all that thing. The lok itself, Shiv Lok it's called. It's actually a place, but it's not accessible through the rocket ship or spaceship. You cannot get there that way. Because that is still within the space-time continuum. This is outside that. So this is where the Sanatan Dharma shows the internal path. Rudram, Chamakam, the Namah Shivaya mantra, the various mantras that have come, the way that the Shiva Upasana is done, it opens the doorway from the inside into the chakras. The chakras begin to open. The Agnya Chakra it opens. And once it opens, there's all kinds of wisdom and truth. And it's just, all Vedantic realization begins to open this way. So that is part of what the Agnya Chakra is. It is a Gnan Chakshu, eye of wisdom. The Agnya Chakra is also, or the third eye, the Bhagwan Shankar, the third eye. That is the destruction of ignorance. The fiery gaze burns away illusion and the ego. The ahankar is burnt away. The illusions are burnt away. Agnan is burnt away. Control of time. The third eye, the three eyes are sometimes interpreted as representing the past, present, future, or the three states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, deep sleep state. So that is also an important point here, that we are moving through these three states. So we are transitioning in sadhana from Jiv to Shiv. Jiv Dasha, Shiv. Jiv mein se Shiv. Jiv means lost in the three gunas of Maya, lost in the waking, dreaming, deep sleep state. Just rolling around in there. It's so difficult because the mind is so powerful and the Jivatma has so much attachments and other things that are so hidden inside. That's why it is lost inside the Jagra Swapna Shushupti. It's not free inside Jagra Swapna Shushupti. The freedom, okay, let's put it this way. When a sadhak reaches a state of inner freedom in Jagrat Avastha, Swapna and Shushupti, that is called Jivan Mukti. One is still alive. One still is alive, living beautifully, living wonderfully, totally free. So free in what sense? There is freedom to continue sadhana and to continue the connection with Paramatma without any obstruction. कोई inner obstruction नहीं है. And if the obstruction comes, it is removed right away. So a Shuddha Mumukshu, a Tivra Mumukshu, strong Mumukshu, once wanting liberation, reaches a stage of Jivan Mukta. And so that transition from Mumukshu to Jivan Mukta is what we are looking for. So in that transition, the entanglements of the three avasthas, three gunas, and the three bodies shatter. Agnya Chakra opens, or then the whole life that we have is not functioning based on the vasanas anymore. Not anymore. It is functioning based on the realization that is opened from within the system. So the worldly activity continues in the worldly way. Even we are involved in it to some extent or another. We would be involved in it. That's fine. That is all continues. But when it comes time for sadhana, then there is absorption back into the higher consciousness. The same consciousness is there in the day-to-day activity also. That is the same consciousness even within the world, the material world. That is also seen. But one is not bound in that. That is the power of living in the material world without getting bound. We do everything beautifully with love and care and sensitivity and all those things. But there's no binding. There's no binding inside the material world. This is what the opening of the third eye is all about. The opening of the third eye is destruction of ajnan. The ignorance is totally destroyed. It is a destructive power. Ajay Krishnamurti used this expression, creative destruction. That's what he doesn't talk about Bhagavan Shankar by name or anything like that. But it's the same truth that is being referred to. Creative destruction. There's creation and there's destruction. And they're happening at the same time. What is it that's being created? The doorway into the moksha, into mukti, into higher realization. And what is it that's being destroyed? Being bound, being stuck, being trapped inside the bondages of Maya, bondages of the material worldly experience, being trapped inside there. That one is released from there. That is it. So that is the power and the potency of the Namah Shivaya mantra. Namah Shivaya mantra is a Panchakshari mantra. It is a matter of sadhana. So the more we do the mantra consistently, the more the mantra is done without break, the more the mantra is done at higher levels of sadhana, it is to that extent that the Brahma Tattva is going to reveal itself. Again, the mantra is a great support. There's Manan, there's Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasana, there's the Vedantic study, there's mantra sadhana, there is seva, there's all of this activity. And of course, there is still the material world with which we are interacting with. But the material world is seen as a play of Shakti. It is not a place where one is trapped in anymore. It is a play of Shakti. One can see the energy flow in the material world, in the three gunas of Maya. And you leave it alone. Nothing to be done about that. That's the way it is. That has its purpose. There's sattva, rajas, and tamas. Some people in the world are more sattvic, some are rajasic, some are tamasic, etc. And that mixture is going to go on. So when the third eye opens, one becomes a witness to this entire phenomena. It is called Sakshi Bhav. Drashta, one is a witness to it, witnessing consciousness. And in that witnessing consciousness, one is liberated. One is liberated while interacting as needed. But the liberation is from inside. This is where the internal dhyan, with the eyes closed or with the breathing stabilized and the mantra begins to really sit inside. That is how beautiful it is. It is bhakti. So bhakti is done when free time is there in life. That's very rare. When free time is there, we want to do so many other things, and 100,000 other things come about. But it's very rare, even in sadhak's life, to have that unbroken use of the right time. Time is used for bhakti as much as maximum possible. That's easy to say, but we're difficult to do because we want the ichcha inside wants different experiences. But that also dies down when there's vairagya. When you realize there's nothing, there's the same repetition again and again and again. But realizing that there's a retraction back into the heart space, and that is vairagya. And with that, so that retraction back into the heart space is also Gnan Chakshu, is also the destruction of ignorance, is also not being bound in time. All right, so let's stop here. It's 8 o'clock. I'll try to stick to time. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Ganganapate Namaha, Om Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha, Om Dhyanamulam Gurur Murti, Mantramulam Gurur Vakyam, Pujamulam Gurur Padam, Mokshamulam Gurur Krupa, Om Divilingaya Namaha, Urdhvalingaya Namaha, Anandalingaya Namaha, Dvatas Jyotirlingaya Namaha, Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche Swaha, Om Durga Durga Rakshani, Tha Tha Swaha, Om Shri Durga Arpanamastu, Om Shri Radha Krishna Arpanamastu, Om Namah Shivaya.